The best lawyers aren't found in the big law firms. They're found in the stories of those who left. Welcome, listeners and viewers of the Self-Employed Lawyers League podcast. Today, I have with me the first ever guest. He should feel very special because not a lawyer. And reason being, Shaf works at a law society, does business development partnerships and that sort of thing. But to be honest, I wanted to get him on today to discuss his business development, his career, obviously before he came into the industry, because I think doing business development partnerships and reading your LinkedIn, it's all about nurturing relationships, building partnerships. And I constantly, people get sick of me saying it perhaps, but I constantly tell the lawyers, it's all about sales shouldn't feel like selling, it's building relationships. And so, Shaf, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. I'm honored to be a guest here, one of your first non-lawyer guests. And yeah, it's amazing to be here just to share my part of the story, my experiences. And yeah, even if it means one person out there takes just a little something out of this and it makes their day better, their week better, puts things into perspective for them. And yeah, we all sort of take little bits and pieces from everywhere, and that's knowledge sharing. So amazing. Thank you for having me.
Well, and because we normally kick off with when did you study law and why did you study law, I'm just going to rephrase it slightly to say, did you, after school and everything, what was the start of your career? Did you study something or go straight into business development sales, or what was your early days?
Very interesting question. So, and I'll rewind back to a time where I originally come from Zimbabwe. So we came here when I was about 5, went back in about 97 for a few years. I did grade 8, 9, and 10 over there, well, half of grade 10, and then we came back here. So lots of chopping and changing, different landscapes, different schooling, different experiences. And I somewhat resented moving countries, losing friends, making new friends. So that made me as a person, and I recognize this today, as a person, it made me that quiet person in class who always listened, and it forced me to listen to my surroundings, put it that way. I think that's the best way to describe who I was back then. Because I definitely wasn't an extrovert. I was more so an introvert than an extrovert. And it was, I guess, the interest of selling actually started in my dad's shop. It was down here in Logan, little secondhand appliance store, and used to go and help out after school in the afternoons, grade 11, grade 12, go and do your study there and help out dad in his shop, basically. And I remember very clearly, sort of a sliding door moment for me, and that's what I call these. A gentleman came in looking for something, and he walked in directly. I took real note of where he was walking in and what he was actually looking at, from an observation perspective. And I sort of thought he's after that bookshelf, maybe a fridge freezer as well. But I got up, left my homework, got up, went and asked him. I said, "Hello, how are you? What is it you're looking for? How can we help you?" And he then explained he's looking for a bookshelf for his lounge. And I said, "How big is your lounge?" And almost automatically, those open questions started flowing. And he was really interested. There were 2 in the corner on the left hand side corner of the shop. two bookshelves, one taller than the other, and he was really eyeing out the one on the right. And I said, look, to be honest, there was actually someone, I think at the time it must have been around $200 or $250. And I said to the gentleman, to be honest, someone came in just before you, a couple of hours before you, looking for bookshelves, and they were actually looking at this one. But they haven't taken it yet, so it's yours if you want it.
Yeah.
And he turned around and he said, you know, I don't know what you're doing at school right now, but you should go and do real estate. And I guess that moment kind of stamped into me that, hey, wait, I'm actually good at something. I'm actually good at drawing out people's decisions and
Yep.
talking to people and connecting them with basically what they want. No hard selling. I mean, I may have in my infancy there, in my career at least, and I very much feel like that is sort of probably the start of my career. You know, that seed that was planted, basically.
Yeah.
That's where it started. And look, honestly, I went on to finish school. I'm a medical scientist by profession. I studied microbiology, biomolecular science. Previously, while I was at uni, I was actually doing broadband sales over the phone back when dial-up was what everybody had, and basically the value proposition was you don't have to unplug your home phone to use the internet. So that really honed in my people skills, those really basic fundamental foundations of sales, and talking to people, listening to what they do and what they use the internet for back in those days. I went on to work as a medical laboratory scientist, microbiology, hematology, biochem. That's a very introverted role, I guess. You're stuck in a lab, four walls, window. You've got machines and analyzers going off behind you. Not a lot of people interaction there.
Yeah.
So those social interactions I really missed. So I did work in that industry for a few years. And then my dream was actually to open a coffee roastery. So that's what I did. About 3 years or so into being a scientist, I left, and basically I started my coffee roastery business, pounding the pavement.
Yep.
Going door to door, cafe to cafe, restaurant to restaurant, just getting a feel for who they are, what they do. I'd spent at least about 6 or 8 months learning about coffee and roasting coffee, and I bought a commercial roaster for that, for example. But then you've got to have clients to support your new business venture, right? So client finding was key to the success around the wholesale supply side of the business. And it really was about connecting with cafe owners, restaurant owners. They're people at the end of the day. And it's only through those conversations that I found the gap in the market. There was that a lot of the very well-established coffee roasters out there were not taking care of the small guys who are ordering, 5 or 6 kilos a week. Might sound really small to you, but they're the guys who need service and love and support and need help to grow their 5 kilo a week account to a 10 kilo a week account. And done right, it's definitely possible. So I guess those are the very foundations of my business development skills, my drive. And it's really the drive and the chase that is really rewarding when you actually land the customer or client. And it is an uphill battle. And I'm of such firm belief that it is about conversations and connecting with them, and service. Sales equals service, to be honest. So that's where it all started.
All began. No, it's an amazing I was thinking that, and I love hearing the origin story, particularly with people when the spark of selling. And look, we called our business Sell because I know sell, as soon as people hear the word, they're like, oh, I don't want to do that. I don't want anything to do with it. It's too scary. I'm like, I'm trying to reframe it. Maybe I'm pushing, it's a big battle to reframe it. But I tell people, it's not selling. Like when you're just conversing with someone and you're asking them questions, the conclusion of the conversation is a solution you have. And if you're actually a good salesman, and to me, that means a good person, you'll say, I don't have the solution for you. Yes. However, because of everything you've told me, here's an alternate. And in the future, that's why I go, it's all about the relationship. They'll come back to you because they trust your opinion on things because you help them solve a problem.
That's right.
And you do that not through talking to them, but taking the information from them and saying, here's what you're looking to do. It's what we did. I said, Chef, this is what we're looking to do. And you showed me, well, this is how I can present you to the right people at the right time.
Yes.
Perfect solution. Then the end of that conversation is what's the next steps. So it's a beautiful thing. And having that at that young age, I think it's
definitely about relationships. And I think, look, a part of my personal origin is that I didn't have as a result of moving countries, doing a bit of back and forth. And look, us as Southern African Indians, we were very much a suitcase community for a long time in the early 90s. You know, we had our bags pretty much packed and ready to go as soon as we heard, South Africa's or Southern Africa or anywhere in that region is doing well again. Let's go back. And I guess naturally as a result of that, you lose friends, both sides. And I found that having a lack of those social connections made me, I guess, work and mature in those areas to create great relationships and just being yourself and putting yourself out there and giving the best you can to any potential client out there in terms of the business, in terms of valuing that relationship that you have with them. So that's where it started. And look, the common denominator all along the story is actually those very relationships, and that's what trust is, I feel, built on.
Yeah,
absolutely right.
And so hitting the pavements, was it out of just pure necessity? Did you reach a point where either I can hit the pavements and get the clients, or did you have the confidence? Because I find some people need it's either you're going to starve or you're going to make this work. What was your journey to getting to the point going, I just have to hit the pavements here?
Part necessity and part confidence, because as a tiny little business, single operator, roasting coffee in my free time and finding clients in my other free time, and all the while, I actually started this while I was doing night work as a lab scientist. So I built that client base while I was working, mind you, because not having work during the day gave me the time to roast or find clients. So it was a bit of both. I had to go out because I didn't have a massive marketing budget to go out to market and create brand awareness around a brand called Plantation Coffee Roasters. Nobody knew who you were, even if you spent a lot of money, a lot of advertising money. Nobody really would know who you are until they've basically tasted the product and come to know the brand and the person. And I think more than anything else, the reason why example is, for example, prior to starting or at the start of the coffee roasting business, we had 0 customers. At the end of the 3 years when I sold my business off, we were doing some 800, 900 kilos of coffee a month.
Yep.
Which is probably up at around about 60 to 70 cafes and restaurants that we were serving. So having a tank full of those customers primarily because of my willingness to go out there, put myself out there, being confident enough to do that. And I know I had my bad days going, you know what, I don't want to do this. I've had so many no's today. I've been rejected so many times. I'm just going to call it a day. And that happens, and that is very much, very, very much a part of it.
Yep.
But it does take a level of confidence to really develop business out there. Part necessity, part confidence, in my conclusion.
Yeah. And to get, if you don't mind, tactical, because I love this stuff. What was your approach to going, okay, there's a cafe, new cafe opened. Was your approach like first a call or an email, or because obviously on a tight budget, you got to, I call it guerrilla business development. You got to be really resourceful and think, how do I just got to get in front of this person for 5 minutes, let them taste some beans or something, give them a taste of the product. What was your approach?
Ambush them, right? Well, absolutely right. Look, depending on the place, if it looked like it was a solo operated, normally I'd go in and ask for the cafe manager.
Yep.
Any staff that are there, hey, can you please tell me who's a cafe manager here or the restaurant manager? And I'd introduce myself and let them know I roast coffee, roasted locally here in Brisbane. And obviously you've got a coffee machine, you've got suppliers already. However, I just want to let you know that we're here too in case something changes. Do you have plans to, basically find out who the decision maker was in the first instance, and then if they look, most people gave me the time of day to speak to, because one of the main drivers for hospitality and restaurant businesses was actually cutting their costs. Okay, so their cost of goods obviously eat into their profits. Their profit margins are not as large as people think they are. And so my value proposition to them was basically, we will supply you coffee at a better price than your competitor if we can. We don't quite do free online equipment. So lots of the larger, more established roasters normally give them a coffee machine free of charge, and a grinder free of charge, and servicing included, etc. Obviously, they've got to integrate the price of that. No such thing as a free lunch. They integrate that into the price of the per kilo amount that the cafe or restaurant pays.
And minimum order quantities, I'd presume.
Minimum order quantities as well. They have to do. So I basically rejigged that, did a few clever numbers, and gave them a, hey, look, if you order in bulk, which is 15 or 20 kilos, it'll probably last you a month. We'll be able to give you this price. So, and usually that would take place at a time once we'd gain interest. So there's 4 letters that I generally stick by. You've probably heard of these: AIDA, attention, interest, decision, and action. They're just principles when it comes to actually selling. So first we get their attention, then we get their interest, if they're interested, and then propose to them for a decision and get them to take action, basically the next step to signing on.
Yeah.
And in between, within that decision and action stage, there's always negotiations that take place, because they want a better price, they want to benefit out of it, and you want to benefit out of it. So if we can meet a place in the middle, that'd be great. And being, I think a big advantage was that solely focusing in the beginning with roasting and wholesale supply, we didn't have a lot of overheads or staff on our payroll, etc. And that gave us the flexibility to actually have better price. Meanwhile, of course, on the other end, the raw coffee that we bring in, I would have to basically negotiate the prices. So we get the best possible cost of goods price too, so we can pass that on to, yeah, so in there is definitely negotiations.
Yeah.
And I think out of all, we probably got, look, I've always generally tried and stuck to about getting 2 yeses out of 10,
Yep.
10 prospects, basically. Sometimes you get better than that, sometimes you get worse than that. So converting 2 clients out of 10 prospective when it comes to business development is generally a good target or KPI to keep in mind with.
Yep.
And for us, at least, being wholesale, being slightly larger ticket in terms of the revenue that you'll receive when you do land that client, that allows us to have a profitable operation at the end of the day.
Yep.
The mistake that I made, was actually opening up a retail store as well, which had a whole other level of overheads,
Yep.
staff, leases, cost of goods, utilities. But it's fine. It was part of the exercise, part of my own learning and development too, mind you. Yeah, you outlay a lot of capital expenditure there, but it also solidifies the brand name at the same time.
Yeah. But I think I call it the entrepreneur's curse. Tell any lawyer, if you started your own firm, you're going to see the reason someone starts a business is they see opportunity.
Yeah.
And I say the irony of once your eyes are sort of open to the opportunity in the world is you can't stop seeing it.
Yes.
And the difficulty is the thing that got you to the dance to become self-employed. I say you kind of have to shut that part of your brain off to just be the best at your little niche, because otherwise you'll spread yourself thin. And in history, the only person I've seen, and even he struggles, Elon Musk has 7 different companies and somehow does most of them are successful. But I go, other than that, most entrepreneurs focus on just one business and one ideal client, and they get so good at it that it becomes boring. And for an entrepreneur, we don't want boring. We want exciting. We want new. We want a challenge. And I go, but that's the entrepreneur's curse, is to go, no, I just have to focus here on my one client. I'm just going to be the wholesale coffee guy, not the retail, not the extra.
Yeah.
But it's the lesson, and I still go through it every day. Like I have reminders on my phone. Who's the client? Who's the one we don't need to take on extra responsibilities, because it dilutes your energy. And as a sole practitioner or a sole business owner, you're the biggest resource in your business. So you got to make sure your attention's where it needs to be.
Absolutely right. And look, with that industry, obviously high volume. Look, what I learned there with retail, I actually went and worked with sometime after that. So I saw my businesses off. I actually went back. So I went back to Zimbabwe for a nice 3-month holiday, out on the Zambezi, just fishing and staying in cabins up there, catching tiger fish like no tomorrow. That was a lot of fun. Much needed break after running that business there. I actually went back. I came back and I went back to sales. I went and did some fundraising sales, actually, just to keep those sales skills sharp. It was good. It was a lot of fun, and I never once got yelled at with fundraising, or sworn at or anything like that. It was great. And shortly after, I got called on by a coffee company who I had previous dealings with. I used to purchase their products for wholesale, etc. And I went and managed one of their it was actually a coffee cart. They were looking for a cafe manager for their coffee cart, because their coffee cart wasn't performing as well as it should. And this is, I'm going to give you a really interesting example of where relationships do so well. So to give you an idea, this coffee cup was doing maybe 5 or 6 cups of coffee, takeaway coffee a day.
like 5 or 6, half a dozen.
Half a dozen a day. Okay. Not even a
That's
half
not
a
a,
kilo.
yeah, no, that's not even going to pay for the electricity nearly. Wow.
You bet it won't. And within 6 months, we were doing about 9 kilos of coffee every single day. To put that into perspective, that's about 400 odd cups of coffee a
You know, I've
day.
been out of the game a while, but I was thinking, I think that's 400 coffees. Yeah.
That's within 6 months. And it was a cart that was situated in an office park. It was actually next to Virgin Australia.
Mhm.
And you know what? I got to know every single person's name and order.
Yep.
And just having a good chat with them outside. It was situated in a car park. It was hot. It would rain sometimes. Rain, hail, or shine, we were there.
Yep.
And it was actually names and orders, and having that relationship of, oh, hey Carl, how's your dog going? Or hey Katie, how was the weekend?
Yep.
It's just knowing what they did, what they were doing, because lots of these guys were in corporate jobs. They're at their desks all day in front of their screens, and they just want a break. They would wait 25 minutes in line for a cup of coffee.
Yep.
And yes, we priced these really competitively. We had some big competitors around us, but they wouldn't go there because, well, they get the best price coffee here. We were doing some serious volume there.
I reckon my assumption, and this is because I was in the coffee industry, it wasn't about the coffee. It
No,
was the touch point of the people, because we actually ran a test on a coffee cart where I was making the coffee. And if you've made a lot of coffees, you know how to make a bitter, disgusting coffee.
yes,
And I said to Courtney, I'm only going to do this for one day. I'm going to go over the top, really engaging with the client, you know, patting the dog. Oh, such a beautiful dog. What breed is it? Getting those clients to open up with me. And I'm going to test if they still think it's a good cup of coffee that we know objectively isn't. And they did. 10 people in a row said, oh, it's the most delightful cup of coffee. And that's where in my brain I was like, oh, it's not the coffee, it's the people. While we're chatting, while I'm making you coffee, I'm asking about your kids, I'm asking about this.
yes,
It's the people. And for me, because I was 18 when we started our cafe, from there, I think I was so fortunate to realize people pay for people. If you give them the
they
attention,
do.
whatever you happen to be selling that day, they'll at least be interested in it. And then if it's a good solution for them. So it's amazing to hear, yeah, the confirmation that even when you've got all these
That's
other
right.
people who by rights they could go there, but if they're willing to wait, it means it's more than the product you're selling. There's something intrinsic that you're offering them.
That's right, because they're completing an emotional purchase. They're um, they're there for the relationship. They're there for a break. They're there for all other reasons apart from the coffee. The coffee is just an excuse.
Yep.
So relationships definitely have that effect. I think whether you're a solicitor or you're selling coffee at a coffee cart, or you're doing fundraising, it's those relationships are key in actually doing business, in completing that transaction. And I think more than ever, because we're now coming into we've already come into a stage where AI is making its way into lots of different professions. I mean, think of it: healthcare, legal, accounting, pretty much every industry out there. And I so strongly believe that what's going to separate the best in their profession out there versus those who will lose business to a commoditized version is
Mm-hmm.
actually the relationship. Call it business relationship, call it personal relationships, whatever. These relationships have the power to actually win and keep business, and also create referral business. on top
Yep.
of that. But also, when you're busy spending time doing business development, it's the relationship that's going to actually get your foot in the door, and have people actually give you time of day to go, okay, right, what has this person got to say that might benefit me? It's the underpinnings is the relationship. So if you go in with the intention of I want to find out about this person and their problems and how I can actually help them,
Yep.
that stands out far better than a commoditized version of anything that might be available on the internet nowadays.
Yeah.
Just my thoughts.
No, and I think it's so true. And I'm a big proponent as well to go AI, and I'm sure you're seeing it in your partnerships role. Like there's more and more people promoting it. And I'm the same. I see what it should do is remove the administrative burden and the tasks that take us away from this face-to-face on video, but face-to-face human connection. Because if we can spend more time and simply getting to know each other better, like boiling it all down, if you get to know someone better, you know how to solve the problem they're facing better.
Absolutely.
And if you have the time, if AI is taking care of all the note-taking, taking care of all the admin, preparing the proposal, all the things that have to happen behind the scenes, so you can just get to know Shaf a little better, like that's where you're right. Those companies, or those individuals, for me, that hopefully self-employed lawyers, because that's who I'm trying to champion, that's how they can really compete with these massive companies, which no doubt you did in the coffee industry. It's so
That's
cool.
right. You've got the when you're a sole business operator. I mean, I can speak for myself in that industry, but also I guess it's so transferable into any other industry, mind you. You've got the flexibility to work things out for people out there. And look, in those days when I had when I started my business, we didn't even know obviously what AI was or the capabilities that might have. But for example, just like back in the early, say, 80s, when people went from recording financial figures on a ledger by hand, pen and paper, they went to Excel, for example. That administrative task was taken away, and the same. So I think AI is a great tool that can iron out all your administrative stuff and actually give you time to go and do business development, spend more time on business relationships, do the things that really actually matter, versus be bogged down with the admin. Absolutely right. And then soon after, well, I was there for about 3 years. We did pretty well with that coffee cart. And next up in my career was a role at the Chamber of Commerce and Industry Queensland. They're called Business Chamber Queensland now. Very much a consult. So they're an organization that are member run. So it's usually the small or medium-sized business that is a member. Or should be a member. And lots of complex HR support that they used to deliver as an organization, only to members, of course. And so I was involved in the membership team, basically driving new business, cold calling businesses, introducing who Business Chamber Queensland or CCIQ at that point in time was, and what they did and how they fit in terms of their HR support products. They didn't do payroll or anything like that, but mainly around occupational health and safety, HR support. It's really an area where when things go wrong, like employment contracts, etc., that's where businesses usually have a very strong need to have a solution done. So there, I guess it was a lot of consulting. So that was very much, I would describe that role as very consultative.
Mhm.
Asking lots of those open questions, and look, I guess having run my own businesses, I understood, right, when you've got staff, this is what you should have in place in terms of paperwork, policies, so on and so forth, and th- that sort of responsibility. So communicating those sorts of responsibilities to business owners, and really taking a consultative approach was the game there. But again, business relationships again underpin exactly what we did there in terms of getting new members, growing the member base, and going all the way up to towards the last year of my role there. I was within the corporate memberships as a senior memberships manager within the corporate memberships
Yep.
arena, really seeking out partners for Chamber of Commerce and Industry Queensland. So that's where we went with that role. And look, in between, I've done a little bit of social media work. I've had a few clients every now and then. I don't do a lot of business development there currently. Thing is, I'm a little time poor at the moment, but I have done a bit of that, and really, again, business relationships are key there. So all along, I guess this has been and even in my role at QLS today, it's really those business relationships. So it's, having a keen eye for those opportunities, getting to know people, knowing what their drivers are, asking them the open questions, not being afraid to ask. It takes a bit of confidence building to get to that stage. Really not being afraid of getting a no. If it's a no, you move on. Every single no is gets you closer to the next yes. Basically, that's how I see it. But
well,
obviously,
like with those numbers you share, and I always like when people share their numbers because it gives everyone, whether you're a salesman or just someone trying to do a little bit of business development for your business, knowing, okay, if it's every 10 and 8 expecting should say no, like actually reversing it to say everyone should say yes. No, 8 should say no. And then in your brain, you can go, well, I've only had 6 no's today. Geez, I got to go get 2 more. Then I can finally hit my,
to get my yes. Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. And I don't know myself. Look, I've never worked in a law firm myself before. But I've never, and yes, sure enough, I've dealt with different types of solicitors throughout my life, be it commercial for my my shop and leases, etc., to someone who's a generalist. Excuse me, but I don't know if any solicitors actually out there actually seek out new business by email, by cold calls, by those active outreach methods. To your knowledge, what's the case out there, and how can we help? How can we help them?
Well, that's part of obviously why we called it Sell, was showing them, as I tell anyone, for me, business development's always been simple, that if, and every salesman loves it, this is why we're obsessed with leads, but qualified leads, because if it's the right person with the budget at the right time and we have the solution to their problem, you give me 30 minutes with anyone and they'll buy whatever I'm selling. But figuring out those 4 things, and that's what I tell people, in this digital age, it's never really been easier Like, you can see when someone's just registered a new business, for example. It's publicly available. The ABN's there. You can then search on Google. Oh, they have a website which gives you a contact detail to reach out and say, Shaf, I noticed you just opened a cafe. Have you got your lease sorted? Have you got your contract sorted? And I go, and if someone, and lawyers tell me all the time, I don't want to be salesy. I'm like, that's not salesy. Does that business owner, yes or no, have contracts? Because I can assure you there's someone like me in a law firm out there knocking on that business owner's door, because that's what I've done. And for me, that's what I tell the sole practitioners. If the way to fail at business development is for no one new to know what you do this week. If new people are finding out what you do, you may get something wrong, and the no is due to not right now. You got the timing wrong. But now they know what you do. So in 3 months, if the timing's right, they can come back to you. Or it might be they're not currently facing the problem. So again, timing issue. And my big thing, and we've done a heap of video content on this, is it's almost always a timing thing, not a you thing.
Yeah.
Just because you made the ask and they said no, don't take that personally. A,
Absolutely.
because it makes you not want to go next. But B, it was timing. And part of qualification is you don't know until you talk to someone, is the timing right for them? But I can assure you, there's Alex Hormozy talks about you can't, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. And he's actually extended it and said, well, actually, if that horse hasn't drunk for 3 weeks and you lead it to the water, it will inevitably drink. Again, in sales, like if you actually show and discover it through conversation with them, how painful this problem, and in law, how painful the problem is for them.
Yep.
Once you get on that call with them, the end of the call should be them asking, what's the next steps? And that's not selling. That's you just solving a problem and putting a dollar value on it, because that's what you have to do because you're a business. But I've just found, and this is much bigger than just law, selling for me is belief in not just yourself. Well, it sort of is in yourself to go, I am the person to solve your problem today. And whether that's tea, like I did the same as you. I sold loose leaf tea to cafes. I hit the pavements, and I went out there. Not every cafe needed it, wanted it.
Mm-hmm.
But I believed this would add revenue to their bottom line because they could sell loose leaf tea as a premium product. It was more profitable than coffee. And so that's the conviction I had to go, no, I know if you buy this $200 pack of teas, you'll sell an extra 20 teas a week at $4.50, $80. Within 2 weeks, you've paid it back. And then with the next 3 months, it's all profit.
Basically.
But you got to figure out the conviction to then just put yourself in front. And I call it a responsibility. For lawyers, people who are having a problem, if they represent themselves, they will not do the best job because we spent 5 years training plus all the experience in law. So they're going to not get the justice outcome.
Mm-hmm.
And so you have an obligation. I like selling to feel like a responsibility that if I don't help this person, a shark or someone who's just out to be ruthless on them will make money off them and not actually solve their problem. And I've just found that mental shift is what I'm hoping to inspire lawyers into, to go, you have a responsibility here to learn to sell.
Absolutely. And look, like in my first experience, look, I made a connection between every time I'm out on the pavement looking and searching for new business, I'm actually impacting on my top line, my revenue.
Yeah.
And sales directly affects that top line of revenue. And inherently your bottom line, your net profit as well.
Yeah.
And the time you're going to spend creating and nurturing those relationships and introducing yourself actively will pay for itself tenfold.
Well, and it's exponential, isn't it? That's what I love, is that time you don't know. And the example, because we put it in the book, was because lawyers are so used to being billed by the hour. So they go, if I spend 2 hours with a lunch with someone, that was $1,000 I could have been billing. And I go, that client, if they're a business owner, might give you $100,000 worth of work over the next 10 years. 2 hours, you could have got $1,000, but so you invested $1,000 to get 100x return, and potentially that client introduces you to their friends,
to
family.
someone else
It's an
as well.
exponential. Goodwill can just compound. And I go, so if you want the biggest hourly rate return on investment for your business, it's not the billable time, it's the BD time, because that can just expand exponentially, especially if you give a good service at the end of the day.
Absolutely right. And I feel like that is the last bit. And I know, look, lots of businesses and business owners focus on, and in this particular instance, sole practitioners focus so heavily on referrals. This is my belief and my opinion, and I'm sure you probably share this, that referrals only come in once you've delighted your customer and client. But if they don't know who you are to begin with, they're not going to be your customer or client for you to delight. And only once you delight them, then you complete that. Then you complete the circle when they actually refer a client out to you. Until then, you haven't got any referrals.
Yep.
So business development comes first, and that includes any form of active outreach, be it door to door, be it cold calling, emailing, getting qualified leads and prospect into your ecosystem, into your information ecosystem. And yes, there's lots of heavy lifting to do there, but at the end of it, you're not going to get any referrals or return business if they don't know who you are to begin with. Anyway, that's just me.
No, and that's the exact, in terms of the system we've written, that's exactly it. I tell anyone, you don't need 100 clients in your first year. For starters, you need one. And if you delight them, they'll either leave a review, which means you got social proof, they'll refer more work or send you another one. And then if you manage to get one, repeat that process, we'll get two. And if the first 5 are delighted, ideally the first 10, that's where everyone says word of mouth is the best marketing. Okay, it is. It hasn't changed. Whether it's AI, TikTok, whether it's YouTube, word of mouth still beats it. And it's ironically no cash flow up front, and any small business cash flow is the king. So I go 10 first clients, delight them, like you said, and you have a business for as long as you provide a quality service to the people they refer. And then it's exponential. If you want to grow, you can grow. But if you just want to maintain as a lawyer, you can maintain a very good life by servicing a small number of clients every year. And happy days. You'll be a great lawyer. You'll give good service, and you'll improve the justice system. Yeah. Fantastic. Well, thanks, Shaf. For people to get a hold of you, obviously you've got a few different roles. What's the best way?
Well, LinkedIn is probably the best avenue. I'm sure if you look me up, Shafeen, first name, last name Mussa, you can reach me there. Obviously, I work at QLS as well, in my own capacity within the partnerships team here. But otherwise, feel free to shoot me an email if you like. You can get me at shafeen.mussa@gmail.com. Happy to help any practitioners out there who have any questions about, and happy to help you guys together with Lofty here to make your journey into building a successful practice easier. It's one step at a time. It's not easy, but hey, look, if I was gonna say anything to end off, I'd say if you're not gonna do any outreach actively to find clients, to introduce yourself, just introduce yourself, honest. Then you may potentially not have any clients. You won't know. At least if you do, you tried, and now they know who you are, and something might happen in their life where they might need a solicitor for a property they're about to buy, or a matter that's pressing and urgent, or someone they know is going through something and they need a legal solution around. Because you reached out to them, they're like, oh, wait, that person, yeah, wait, let me get in touch with them. All right. And the penny will drop eventually. And number two, it's a numbers game. You're going to get 7 no's before you get 2 yeses, to be honest. Or 7 no's before you get your next yes. So persistence. But be a good human, introduce yourself, and reach out to people that you know that might be valuable to you. That's it. That's all I would say.
No, it's wonderful. And you're right. And I like to say it's business development is simple. It's not easy, but it's incredibly simple.
It is.
Yeah. Fantastic. We'll leave it there. Thank you, Shaf.
My absolute pleasure.